everybody, in this video I wanted to show y'all how I make this pendant. So let's get started. So here I wanted to show you how to use a tool called a coiling gizmo. And typically I don't use this for a whole lot of my work because it's very specifically good for making like a solid long coil. They might have a new model out since I last purchased this one, but this is like the deluxe one or whatever that has like a bunch of different mandrel sizes. I use more frequently than not the two thinnest sizes. You can kind of see here. But just to put it in perspective, this is the thinnest mandrel I've ever been able to find for these folks. And this is the size of core that I usually use for my wire wrapping. So if you can see there, there's still quite a difference in the thickness. So the 18 gauge versus I think this is a 16 gauge wire. So it's that's why I still do it all hand coiled, is to get that nice snugness. I still just have to do it by hand, which I don't mind a bit. But for those of you who have suggested it, that's why. Now I am using a 16 gauge. This is an anodized aluminum wire. I think I got from like, I don't know, Michael's or Hobby Lobby or something. And I'm just going to feed myself out a section of it. It's quite stiff, but I don't mind that a bit. And I'm just going to cut off a segment a little bit longer than what I'll end up needing. Okay. And then I'm going to be wrapping it actually in a two-tone, a gold and vintage bronze. And these are Parawire. These are enameled copper core. I'm actually going to this is 24 gauge also. I'm going to pull off a whole arm span. And then I'm going to put the clamp back on, but I'm not going to cut it off of the spool. I call this working off of the spool because it lets me add in more wire as necessary. I'm going to do the same thing with the gold. Full arm span. I'm clamping it on there. And now to do a single toned wrap, what I would usually do is feed my mandrel through on the thinnest setting. And then I would feed my wire through up here at the top, just because it helps guide it, I feel like, and I would wrap it around right there. But I'm going to be doing two wires to get a really nice two-toned effect. So I'm going to line them both up like this. Let's see if we can. Okay. So I have them lined up side by side, the light and the dark. And I'm going to feed them through the top hole on this device that I have clamped to the table. I'm going to move all my pliers out of the way so there can be as little as possible for the wire to get bunched up on. And you can see kind of the neck here. I'm just going to wrap this around. I've also found that using this tool can be a little wasteful because you do have to cinch it down and stuff prior. So if I were using sterling silver, I think I would be way less inclined to actually use this tool. And I'm going to make sure that there's no twists or anything, that it's very clearly one way or the other. And then I'm going to come through and actually just start coiling. I'm going to try my best to keep the gold and the vintage bronze positioned relative to each other. That way we don't get any kind of crossing or anything like that. And then I'm just going to keep kind of cranking it. Keeping an eye the whole time, again, to make sure that my wire stays put how it should. Oh. Now this one actually broke. Crap. Okay. So I'm going to snip that off. So, I don't know, it's a little sharper. I guess I was holding it quite firmly. But here you can really see the kind of striping effect that would give. And this does give us a really nice sample piece that I can come in and snip off of the handle, like all that becomes more or less unusable scrap wire, and it slides right off. And I do want to make sure that this will fit onto, yeah, it fits beautifully onto my core wire. Okay, so let's try this again. This time I'm not going to feed it through the guide. But I am still going to secure it to the neck. And you have to do this securing whether you're doing one color or two colors. And I'm going to hold this off to the side. I use my finger in between. You can see this kind of setup. My first finger here is in between the two wires, but then I'm holding them together down here. And so we'll just start twisting. And then it got crossed a bit. So I'm just going to open that up some, make sure that the wires do go back down to where they go. There we are. Very good. And even if it's just a little looser than what I would like, I can still take it and press it down just like that. And I just keep kind of twisting. It does get a little bit of spring back, but that's okay. Okay, it's starting to bunch up on itself again. Oh, and I was about to get a kink. I'd like to avoid that as much as possible. And I think this is going to be plenty of wire, so I am going to go ahead and trim those pieces off of the spool. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to gauge it and be like, yeah, I can do that. And also with this project I'm working on, I don't mind some scrap pieces anyhow. Don't ever hesitate to unwind what you just did. If you messed up, that's fine. No reason why you can't undo it. Okay. That was part of the benefit of keeping it on the spool too, was it kept it from coming and bunching up and getting in the way. There we go. And it's surprising just how much wire this will use too. And I'm just going to keep going as I start to run out of mandrel. That was another thing that I found kind of limiting to this tool, is you only have so much mandrel space. Because once you get into where only one holds on, it really limits you, I feel. Okay, and I'm just gripping it with my hand, and if you get any sections that you feel like aren't quite as tight as you would like, you can just kind of cinch it and twist it down. But I think that looks pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah. A really neat two-toned effect. And now we can come through, and I'm going to take one of my wires, and if you were coiling this by hand, I'd coil one kind of loosely, just like this, and then I would come through with the other and lay it down between. And this way, if you don't have a coiling gizmo, you don't have to worry about it. You can still do the same thing. And I feel like I would always rather be invested in my ability to do something with as few tools as possible than to invest in the tools. So I encourage you guys to practice with and without the tool just to keep you versatile. So yeah, so that can continue and it'll help fill up the mandrel. And so if you do it a little too closely together, you can just get your fingernails in there and kind of open that up a bit. Just so that you can fit the other wire down snug in between them. And this does help the first time you're doing it to use contrasting wire colors. You could use whatever color you like. Just like that. So it's a pretty cool effect. And now I'm going to show you what it was that I was going to do with this. There we go. I'm going to unclamp this from the table so I don't bonk myself on it. Righty tighty, lefty loosey? I don't know. I can say that all day, but it doesn't change the fact that I can't tell the difference between left and right. And that it feels like it's tightening it both ways. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of manhandle this off of the table. Okay, I was trying to do it the right way. Alrighty. So I have my section of wire that I had cut. I'm going to set all these mandrels off to the side as well. And I'm going to remove what we had coiled from the from this mandrel. I'm going to go ahead and trim this end down. There we go. And I'm just going to slide this right onto our new core. And from here we can take this and actually cinch it down a little further. I want it nice and centered up on the wire. And then I'm just going to take my pliers and cinch the ends down. Because I don't mind the rest of it being a little baggy, but I don't want the ends to go just snagging about on things. There you go. Okay. Now I'm actually going to be wrapping this stone in a kind of two-toned thingy. Technical terminology. So let's find something round. I have this bottle of water and just sitting next to me. You could use a fancy mandrel or something, but if you don't have a fancy mandrel, a bottle of water will work because it's about roughly the same size as the cap. And so I'm actually going to come through and find the center of my wire and just bend it right along the neck of the bottle, which gave us a really nice kind of curve. And I'm going to overextend it just a little bit. Because you can see, push that back off to the side, that really starts to give us a nice shape that kind of, you know, sits nestled around on the piece. I'm going to straighten the sides out just a little and bend it down just a little more. Again, trying to get it to sit a little tighter. Now this aluminum feels like it's at least half hard, so it does have a good bit of spring back. Whereas if you use something like a dead soft, then it'll stay where you put it, which that really comes in handy. But with the stuff with a lot of spring back, you just have to kind of force it a little bit more. Okay. And so now I'm going to use, I think, my gold wire. I'm going to pull about 12 inches off of the spool and snip it. And I also have, here I have some 18 gauge wire that I'm going to pull off, again, about 12 inches. While it's still on the spool, I'm going to go ahead and grab my nylon jaw pliers and straighten it a bit. And this does work harden it, but not so much in a way that's detrimental. Snip. I'm going to use the same mandrel, finding the center of this copper wire, center-ish, and just bending it around so that it sits like that. Because this will be like a secondary frame, and I want it to fit around the edge of the first. And I'm going to wrap, I think 5 times around the center of this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to leave the tail attached and trailing back up towards where the stone is going to be. And I'll show you why. So that's sitting like this. So I'm going to take this piece and start nestling it in just right there. And I'm going to wrap around this one. I think just once. And this one I'm going to bring around to the back so that it looks symmetrical on both sides. And eep. I think I'm going to get in here with my bent nose pliers, grab it just like there, and pull nice and tight. Yeah, that worked out pretty well, I think. So now we have both of our wires traveling back up again. And I'm going to thread my bead just right on there. Just like that. And I'm going to feed this tail of wire up into the bead as well. Just because why not? That's as good a reason as any, I feel. So it's sitting like that. I keep finding myself trailing off camera, so I'm actually going to come up here. There we go. I'm so grateful to my new friend Patricia for sending this this wonderful camera, but please be patient with me while I figure out the best way to kind of go about it. I've been filming for almost a year now on my cell phone, so an actual proper camera is a little intimidating, actually. Okay, and so now these copper wires I can kind of just let go towards the back, and these bigger pieces, the 16 gauge, I'm actually going to coil around like this, or curve around like this on each side, using the bead itself as the mandrel. And so there you can see, I mean, it shaped up pretty well. I'm going to set it on the tabletop so it stops wobbling around on me. And I'm going to come in again with my bent nose pliers, come up kind of center point, and put a little bit of a 90-degree bend just there in the wire. Just position it and bend. And then I can continue straightening that out with my fingers. But right here is where I'm going to want to come in from behind and kind of cinch this down just as much as I can with it coming through the bead. Like, I mean, really cinching it. because this is going to be holding this in place. So there's one, and there's two. And now to help cover up this little hole at the top, let me dig out a bead. Because I'm actually going to come down from behind to hook around the wire. Okay. Oh, and you can see the copper just kind of trailed off towards the bottom. Let's see, if I were my metal beads, I would be probably lost somewhere. There you are. And I think just a nice little 4mm copper bead will be perfect. Add some nice contrast and help tie in the copper edging. So there's that, just through there. And now I'm going to feed back through from the front. And I'm going to wrap one more time around the top. See how that kind of sits like that? There we are. And now I'm going to separate these very minimally. And I'm going to wrap just like that. And I'm going to snip it. Use my bent nose pliers to bend it down. The camera says it has 3 minutes of battery life left, so I'm going to try to hurry. Get these sides to line up in length. And I'm going to use my round nose pliers to grip and just put a nice gentle bend off that way. And off that way. And I want to keep those kind of in line with each other. Bend them in past a little bit more than where they need to be. Give myself about 1/4 of an inch of uncoiled wire off to each side. Boop and boop. And now I'm going to make little spirals. So again, gripping, oops, as close to the end of the wire as I can, but coming up just a little bit because I want to leave myself some space to do something here. And I'm just going to kind of strong arm this wire around a bit. Okay. Do that same thing on the other side. And I'm usually, whenever I do this, I'll come in like 1/4 of an inch from the tip, because if I'm consistent about, about how much, this wire is really fighting me. If I'm consistent about how much I come in every time, then I'll just become intuitive over the years, like, oh well, I probably came in this much. Sorry, didn't mean to go off camera. So here we have this. I'm going to take my round nose pliers, or flat nylon jaw, blip, and come in just a little bit more on each side. I'm going to kind of get in with my pliers on either side here and tighten that down, and then tighten that down. And again, good opportunity to come in with the nylon jaw and smush everything down. And then from here we have this nice little copper edging that I'm going to come and feed up through from the back. And kind of off to the side. So again, I'm going to feed up through the back. Keep that edging down as snug to the wire as I can. And off to the side. I give myself 2 finger widths of space. Snip. And snip. And then, oh, I'd actually meant to come towards the inside, so let me try to fix that. And now I'm just going to coil down from here. Now this is the 18 gauge that I'm much more used to working with, so it's much easier to get a nice coil out of it. Flattening that spiral down. Sorry, didn't mean to go off camera. Again, still getting used to like the framing and stuff. There we go. And now I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. And this is just a nice kind of, I don't know, a little bit more simplistic compared to some of my other work, but I think that's perfectly okay. Not every single piece has to take 12 hours, you know? Okay, sorry about that. Replaced the battery real quick, but this is how our pendant's kind of coming out. And I think that's pretty nice. But now let's figure out, you know, some different ways that we could join this to a necklace. We could add some jump rings, like a jump ring here, and then one joining, a jump ring here, and then one joining them with like a bail on it. But I'm going to show you how to make a quick little wire bail. Let's see, a little bit more copper. I'm giving myself about 7 inches of wire. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so I stop wandering out of frame. And I'm going to use, I have this little wooden stick here, you could use a pencil or a pen. And I'm going to find the halfway point on the wire, and I'm going to bend around until I have a total of 3 wraps around the our little mandrel here. And I'm going to do, it's kind of like a twist tie thing. So I have the wires where they're crossing like this, and then I'm just going to twist 1, 2, 3 times. I'm going to slide my mandrel out. And so now from here, I can actually bring these wires forward a bit and just slide right on through. And I'm going to bring the wires up like this. Oh, and I want it to be nice and equal. Maybe we could cross them. Oh yeah, I like that with it crossed. Off to the back. So now this one that's coming over this shoulder, I'm going to have come up from below. And I'm going to get my bent nose pliers, that way I can really pull this through nice and snug right from the get-go. And go up with it. And so then on this side, it's going to come in through behind. And come up with it. And they stayed pretty equidistant. And so now I'm just going to do little spirals with them, but first I'm going to straighten them out. They've got some kinks in there. There we go. So I'm just going to grab it as tip to both the wire and the pliers as I can, and just start kind of cinching it down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops. Then again, I'm going to use my nylon jaw pliers to deepen the spiral, kind of tighten the wires up onto themselves. And you can kind of just decide for yourself where you think the spiral should go. I want them up close to the bail. So yeah, so there we go. That's our piece, you guys. And I think that came out pretty cool. So, thanks for watching. Oh, and that's the back. We could put stabilizing wires across the back, but seeing as how it's kind of a see-through, like not completely transparent, but it's definitely translucent, like it's not fully opaque, I don't want any wires showing through from the back side. So there we go. Thanks everybody for sticking around and learning this project with me. If you guys have any questions, comments, or ideas, I would love to hear them. And also, if you make anything with my tutorials, please feel free to post it for sale, sell it at venues, all sorts of stuff. I just highly encourage folks to send people back my way or pass on what you've learned. You know, as far as like the tutorials and stuff go, because I feel like the artisan education is so important in helping the craft grow and encourage, you know, new folks kind of getting into the scene and helping those of us who've been at it for a while to, you know, discover new inspiration that we might not have stumbled across on our own. So if you guys enjoy my free tutorials and would like to support the creation of more of them, please check us out on Patreon. There's links down in the video description below. I do periodic giveaways and all sorts of stuff that as a patron you get kind of like a VIP access to. So be sure to check that out. Also, there's a link to my Facebook down in the video description that if you have any questions or would like to share pictures of your work, I would love it if you found me on there. So yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I do hope this was helpful to you, and happy crafting. I'll see y'all around. Bye!